Hi everyone, and in this video I'm going to talk about one of our recent methodology innovation that we introduced in our recent survey paper on deep learning models in the film production industry. It's a survey paper, and we incorporate this system, employ this multi-agent systems, kind of a complex multi-agent system for ranking papers, as you might find the task of identifying and extracting key components, finding which papers are most influential for your several papers. It's kind of an exhaustive task, as it cannot be handled in a limited time. So you might find incorporating these, if you just let me jump to the workflow. As you can see here, we have in our survey paper, we evaluate different kinds of paper in four main categories: scriptwriting, video generation, editing of video, and music generation. Each of them has some categories which are sub categorized by some different machine learning tools, each of them performing a particular task based on that domain. For example, for the video generation, you might expect using vision models for handling different frames of video, or script writing using large language models or something that understand text. But the novelty lies in here. As you can see, there is a complex multi-agent system that we call it IMPSF, Intelligent Multidimensional Paper Scoring Framework, which tries to evaluate and compare different papers based on four key dimension that we introduced here, but it's not limited to just four dimensions. It's up to you. It depends on the situation that you're working with this system. You want to employ this system. We have three main stages. The first stage is document ingestion, as you are providing the agent with several textual PDFs, and so we need some mechanism to extracting text. So we need to provide these agents. As you know, these agents are LLM based. They can perform different kinds of tasks by providing them the tools. They can make reasoning in different kinds of situations for different kinds of queries, and accessing databases, but providing them their APIs or model context protocol, as this streamlines this process for agents, and parsing unstructured data. As you know, these PDFs are unstructured data, so you need the document profiler, which is provided to them. These unstructured data is provided to them for segmentation and extracting three main components: abstract, methodology, and results, as these seem to be representatives of the paper. The whole idea, the results, the performance of the introduced methodology lies in here. You have some metadata. It's optional. It doesn't need to always be used, but it provides some general information to LLMs that might help to their decision makings and their predictions specifically for their scores. We have four. After that, in the second stage, in multidimensional feature extraction, we evaluate papers based on four key dimensions. Just let me scroll to the right table. We have technical innovation, which try to assess the novelty and creativity of the introduced methodology in the paper, whether they are using, for example, in the task of script writing, whether they add some modification to the underlying architecture of large language model into the training procedure, or just change the language model on a specific data sets. It depends on, it's kind of all these tasks that identify technical innovation. After that, we have empirical rigor, which tries to evaluate the robustness of the validation, the generalization, the generalization of the methodology, the reproducibility of the experiments. Whether they used different seeds for their experiments, use careful cross validation or something like that. Assessing data quality, and that's it. That's all of these lies in the shapes empirical rigor. We have, after the cinematic applicability, understanding, measuring whether the introduced methodologies can be directly or indirectly used in the task of for example, script writing or video generation, how directly or indirectly are connected to this situation, because in all situations not applicable. All of those methodological innovation is not always applicable directly to real world problems, and it might face limitations in case of for example, deployment limitations. These models seems to be so large for reason when you're working with large language models or large vision language models for understanding text and vision simultaneously. And after that, we have a methodological soundness, which tries to evaluate the stability, reliability, or transparency of the methodology, whether the introduced methodology has some is vague or some add some measure the confusion of the introduced methodology. As you can see, we have assigned them different weights scores, which can be identified using an MLP systems, which requires training and some training data to retrain them from scratch. If you change and you're working in different kinds of situations, in dynamic workflows, but you can use agents, up to you. You can agent using pre-trained models and prompting them with some instructions and expecting them to aggregate those provided scores and output in the final scores. As you can see here, we have a ranking or a score coordinator or ranker agent. They try to aggregate those provided rigor score, innovation score, applicability score, and soundness score, and try to identify and map them through the complex nonlinear multiplication of matrices to a single neuron, which serves as a representative score for that particular paper. But for the sake of simplicity, we just ignored other papers and just keep the top 5 ones. And it depends on your situation, whether you have any, because whether you have any facing any computational whether you are facing any computational constraints or something like that. But don't forget that these agents have some context limits, and there are some limitations. One of them is context limits, and you cannot provide them with the whole context or expecting them to understand the complex prompts using chain of thought prompting. But don't forget to use chain of thought prompting as we introduced it here, as we incorporate it here for each agent. And you can use zero-shot chain of thought prompting by providing them no samples, or you can just expecting to imitating the scoring procedure by understanding the samples provided in the prompts. And another limitation is token per minute and request per minute. You cannot just rerun this system multiple times in a limited interval. But don't forget that because it's really important. And these systems are not always not works always in a deterministic manner. So you need to think about the whole design of the system. You be careful with this design, and you cannot use always this workflow. Someone might incorporate orchestration sub worker agents or some parallel or sequential workflows. It depends on you using the manager agent for managing their sub agent in different kinds of situation. Because in some situation, yes, the agent, the manager agent might face with different papers with different kinds of complexity. So, some of them that has 30 pages or more with complex theoretical, mathematical introduction and contents, and some of them it's 5-page conference paper. There is a significant differences between these papers. And activating sub-agents based on different kinds of situations. It's more dynamic, but it's non-deterministic, and it's handling the procedure, managing this procedure more complex. And that's it. If you find this methodology helpful and interesting, don't forget to cite this paper in your papers. And if you find any kinds of these parts of these systems interesting, or you didn't understand the whole procedure, don't hesitate to reach me through my email and LinkedIn account, which the link is provided in the description below. And thank you for your time and consideration.